Yeah, I bet she's topped off that two-tone tank at the Texaco before she hits the road. And I bet she's pissed off enough to pick herself up a pack of smokes, even though she don't flip the quarter, roll the dice. It's a left or it's a right, one's going my way, one's here on the highway.
All right, guys, so welcome back. Thank you for hanging out, spending a few moments here with me. If you're new, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Now, a long time ago, I used to feature a lot of really cool and unique Mopar builds, and I'd really like to continue dabbling down in that direction. Dodge and the future is really not worthy of being discussed anymore. They're heading in a terrible direction. I think sales are going to plummet, and I think they're going to correct course in the far future. And when that happens, I'll be around to kind of gloat and discuss what their direction is. But in the immediate future, I'm going to lay back and I'll let a whole bunch of other YouTubers kind of handle the reporting of Dodge's downfall. So I was on Instagram and I came across a Genesis with a 392 shaker under the hood. This piqued my interest. And so I started doing a little bit of digging, and I found out that it's a 2010 Hyundai Genesis. The owner decided to buy a 392 shaker at auction because it was in a front-end collision. The engine and transmission was in perfect shape, so he decided to take the 392, put it into the Genesis along with the transmission. They had to custom build a drive shaft to fit, and all the motor mounts and everything, the wire harnesses. You know, I don't want to give too much away because, you know, I'm going to feature this guy's build right after I'm done talking. If you guys have any kind of custom build that you want, you know, displayed on this channel, get in touch with me on my Instagram and I will I'll try and make a video for it. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Throw a like up there.
As you can see behind me is a 2012 Hyundai Genesis, and on my right side there's a 2016 Charger Scatpack 392 Hemi, and the customer would like to swap the engine into the Genesis. Originally he purchased this vehicle right here with the blown engine, and this thing was actually making about 500 horsepower, but the guy ended up blowing the motor, so you got it for a very good deal. And this thing got into a fender bender, so you end up purchasing this from an auction. Here it is. The motor's already been pulled by the customer. Like I said, it was a blown motor, so he yanked that out before he brought it to us. And this is still a fully assembled car except the engine. It's got a wide body on it. It's got pretty decent wheels, big lip on it. It's lowered on some BC coilovers, and he likes this body style. So we are gonna be fully gutting the interior and pulling out the harness on both cars, just because we've been contacting some shops to make us a harness from this one to this one, and nobody seems to able to do it or have ability to do it. We're going to be pulling everything out of the engine bay, relocating the battery, relocating these fuse boxes. I'm going to show you the inside of it now. Inside is still fully assembled for now. It was a stick shift and we're going to automatic. So we're going to be modifying a lot of interior also, as far as the cluster and your center console stuff. Most of this is going to get pulled out and probably be custom fitted from the other car. And here is the other car. Like I said, it was in a little fender bender, but it's still fully drivable car. He ended up removing the fender, headlight, and the bumper because it was all bent and cracked and stuff. Pop the hood for you. So everything is still assembled, and we get to take it apart. Like I said, this thing's got 30,000 miles on it. It's basically brand new, and somebody just got into a little fender bender. And let me tell you, just moving this car around, it has a lot of power, and putting that in the Genesis is going to be absolutely insane. I'm actually worried for this car to blow a rear diff or something. Here's the interior, absolutely immaculate condition. And like I said, we're probably going to end up pulling this cluster out and the center console instruments and try to adapt this all to the Genesis. I think that'll be the easier way to make sure everything is working on the car once it's all together. Jake's over there in the car getting the wire harness tore down.
Welcome back, guys. It's a little different than the last time you saw it. Pretty much just doing a teardown today. One of the big goals is to get the interior out and really go through this harness, take a look at it, because we're trying to transplant body control module harness and everything to the donor car. So first thoughts, not too bad. It's got like sectional harness. There's disconnect points behind the dash, so it's not as bad as I thought. I thought there'd be a little bit more wiring up in the front, but it was a pretty clean harness, like well designed to take apart as well. Most of it's out, but we got to do the dash, so didn't want to tackle the dash both of like simultaneous. Like to get one out, harness out, and get it laid out, labeled up, and then we're gonna hit this dash over here.
The engine is out. It is sitting currently on the hoist. We got the tail shaft supported for now, but no, we are not going to leave it sitting around like that all night long. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, it kind of came out pretty easy after everything was disconnected. So this one's going to be getting ready to test fit into our new car. Your vent that comes out of the transmission is causing pretty good interference, and this intake manifold sensor that sits in the back of your intake plenum, and it's kind of contacting this area right here where your window motor bracketry goes. So we're going to try to get this out right now and see if that's going to help us any. We have like 2 inches to go before we can clear this cross member with the oil pan. So we're going to see if we can make some simple adjustments just to get that in. So Jake's trying to get this thing out right now.
Yeah, we were running into a couple fitment issues. This little breather for the trans. We just grabbed it with a set of pliers, just worked it out. Try not to damage it, reuse it. So we got that out of the way. And then the neutral release that goes up the glove box, that bracket was in the way, so we just yanked that out so it'll clear on the side of the tunnel. That's just to get it in with the trans on right now. So once it's back in, we'll be able to put it back on.
So the other thing came off is that sensor that we were just showing you earlier.
Yeah, I wish I knew what it was.
Right.
Yeah, we pulled this sensor off the back of the intake manifold, just at the angle we're going in. It contacts up there. It's just easier to get it out of the way for fitment and for the mock-up. So take 2, we're going back in. I think it's going to slide in this time.
It wasn't as bad as we thought putting it in. We thought there was going to be a lot of issues with the transmission tunnel, but it actually went in and it sits pretty much level. It sits pretty nice in here. We did have to cold work this front subframe piece, cross member, but long story short, this is going to get cut off and we're going to get make our own piece here, a square tube, a round tube, whatever we decide to do. All the accessories do fit. The header's clear, so that's all good news. There's absolutely no issues there. The transmission fits. It goes out pretty nice and tight. There's no clearance issues from side to side. It doesn't rub anywhere. We might have to cold work a few spots, but nothing major that we thought we were going to have to cut the transmission tunnel and raise it and whatnot. So that's good news there. We do have the soil pan, though it sits a little low. over here, so we're gonna have to modify this area. We don't want to be hitting the ground once the guy is driving and cracking this cast aluminum. So this is definitely gonna have to modify. We're gonna have to cut this a little bit higher than this cross member, and thinking of something right here. Start from the front. We end up cutting the forward section of the core support out, just because the oil pan doesn't really fit whenever you try to drop the motor in and it hits the forward section. So we got the plates on it tacked on for now, and then we're gonna end up using a piece of tube, DOM tubing, and we're gonna have a slight bend forward and then down and back around to this portion. So it is gonna act like maybe a bash bar, or just not a bash bar, but just like a first point of contact with the ground before the oil pan. The oil pan will have to get cut and moved forward, but that's still ways away. Jake's been working on these engine mounts. You can kind of see it. The plates are cut and they're both in there right now, or one of them's in there. And we've been trying to utilize the OEM mount because customer wanted to be as soft as possible, or I should say no shakes or no vibration whenever the engine is idling. But as you can see, that stud that's sticking out is way too close to those headers, and I don't think we can go any higher as far as the engine position, because the hood scoop is going to be way too high sticking out of the top of the hood, and it's just not going to look right. So that side, the left side, is not as bad. The driver's side is way worse because the header is slightly bent in a different position, so it almost touches the bottom of the header. So we're gonna have to make something along the line of this LS mount that we got here, something like that with a tube and isolator in the middle. So that's something we're thinking about it right now. Mount for the transmission, this one should be pretty simple. We're just gonna pick up these isolator bolt holes and just do a U bracket like most of the swap brackets you see, and just pick up the OEM holes, and that's gonna be it. And once that's positioned, we're gonna go ahead and measure our drive shaft length and get that out to the drive shaft shop. Gonna make us a nice solid drive shaft. So very close on finalizing the position of the motor. And then another thing, I know I mentioned before that we're gonna do a drive or steer-by-wire rack from the Challenger, but it's just not gonna happen. There's a lot of thought been put into it, and that motor that sits on the back of the rack on the Challenger is just way too large, where it hits, basically comes down to like somewhere over here in the middle of this subframe support, and there's gonna be a lot of cutting that we really don't want to do, because that is the main structure of the core support.
So what we're doing is, the original ABS module was here on the Genesis. We're using the Scatpack one, and we relocated it back here. So the only thing here with the Challengers, these two lines go right to the master cylinder, and the master cylinder, this one is from the Genesis. It runs these 1/4-inch lines, and these ones were bigger, so we had to go online and order an adapter for it. Fits perfectly, but it was just one of those hiccup things we didn't know. We originally were going to run the brake lines underneath this drip tray, but we figured it would look a lot cleaner if we put them inside of it. So that's what I'm working on now, trying to route them all in there. I think it's going to give it a really clean look. We are running it like 3 different pieces because it would just be too much of a pain to bend them all out here and try to get them all in. So we're going to bend it, have connections in here, then bend them out here. Some of them might be 2 pieces, but most of them are going to be 3.
And we're going to use unions on the inside, right, to connect them?
Correct. These are what they're going to look like. Then we're going to have like clamps and stuff, make them look cleaner, drill holes right here.
We had a drive shaft dropped off at the shop, so that one is in progress right now. Should be like a month, he said, or so till it's made. So it's going to be like a 3.5-inch drive shaft, 1 piece. Both these cars came with 2-piece, so this should be a lot cleaner and stronger. He said about 1,200 horsepower rating on it, so it should be plenty for this motor as of right now. Another thing we end up doing is rerouting some of this wiring. I know it looks pretty messy right now, but you'll see it later. once we get it all set up in engine bay. And it's not turned out too bad. It looks pretty clean. We tucked away as many things as we could in the process, so kind of happy with the result. And the front end looks super mean. With all that being said, I think this is going to be it for this one, guys. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.